Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Roger Farabee, who's Senior Vice President of Marketing with Mohawk Hard Surface. Roger, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Kemp. How are you?
I'm good. I've just spent the weekend with you and your team. We were at the Solutions meeting down in downtown Dallas, and you've agreed to do this interview with me because a lot of other people are unpacking their bags right now, and fortunately, this meeting was in your backyard, right?
That's correct. I had the advantage of going home and sleeping in my own bed every night, so that was great.
Yeah. Well, why don't you give our listeners a quick overview, if you will, of the size and scope of this meeting? I know it was sold out. Tell us a little bit about who came to the show.
Yes, well, this is really our premier dealer event of the year, and it focuses on our great aligned dealer partners, both the Floorscapes and Color Center members of our Mohawk buying group. This is that time of year where we get to share all of the great new products that we'll be launching in the coming year, as well as the innovative marketing programs that we will be introducing into the market in the coming year. So we had great reception for both the products and the programs we showed, and I think the general level of enthusiasm was as great or greater than any of the 12 prior conventions I can recall attending.
Yeah, and I think you had over 500 accounts there, and they brought, 1,200 or so people, right?
That's right, and it represents, a greater number than 500 in terms of storefronts.
I think, Roger, it's interesting that I'm interviewing you to talk about this because, this is the year probably, and, this is my own estimate, but where Mohawk, from the Mohawk branded standpoint, more sales in 14 will probably come from hard surface products than carpet. It's my estimation.
I'll leave that to be your estimate, but
Okay.
Given the direction we're seeing, it's entirely possible that will be true.
Yeah, and we're seeing that trend. Hard surface is continuing to take share. These are interesting times. One of the things that Jeff Lorberbaum pointed out in the opening session, he expects 14 to be a pretty strong year with all the things that are happening residentially. Let's talk about hard surface new products. One of the things that's different this year is with all of your strength in ceramic, laminate, especially with the acquisition of Marazzi and Pergo. Now you have major market share there, but also in hardwood and in LVT, you have it set up now where the consumer can come in and kind of pick their look, then go and pick a surface category, right?
That's right, Kemp. It's an interesting evolution of technology and design. So we have a situation now where consumers aren't necessarily restricted by the product category and its technology as to what design looks they may want for their home. So we're now able to apply the same design trends and therefore the looks that derive from that to multiple product categories. And one of the themes I talked about at the show was character wood and the fact that every part of the market now is responding to these character wood looks, interpreted in different ways, but in general, these tend to be somewhat stronger, richer looks that show a lot more of the natural wood character. They're all about celebrating the imperfection of wood, whatever naturally occurs through the wood growing itself or through the distressing process. Very popular looks like reclaim looks are big in the market now. So now there's just dozens and dozens of different looks in hardwood that you're finding in ceramic, and these same things are showing up in LVT, in laminate, and obviously in hardwood itself. So hardwood is a big, big inspiration today across all of the hard surface product categories, and it means if you have a look that you want, there's a very good chance you'll find a product in any of the hard surface categories that will allow you to have that look, but also the product that meets your performance needs.
Yeah. Now, let me elaborate a little bit more on what you said in case our listeners didn't pick this up. But character, especially in the United States, character would look, whether it be distressing, whether it be a little bit of a wavy look, whether it be chatter, saw marks, barnwood look. I was really impressed because in almost every surface category, you had taken what the U.S. consumer wants when we talk about hardwood look, right?
That's right. In the past, most of the wood sold tended to be a very clean, say, red oak, what we call select grade, didn't have notch, it was almost perfect looking. There were no natural flaws in the wood. We've seen that evolve over the last several years where people want the knots, they want the splits, they want the wormholes, they want the wood to look like it has a history to it. So we then add other things to that. You start with wood that already has more character, and then you add different kinds of texture to it just to give it more depth, more richness, or you go so far as either to use real reclaimed wood that has a lot of the natural nail holes and other distressing marks from just years and years of use, or new wood that's been basically made to look like it's reclaimed. But all of these in common share this sense of something that has a history to it. It has a richness that's just more interesting than a very, very perfect plain wood that really, in many ways, almost looks more artificial to our eyes today versus some of these more rustic looks.
You have a new brand name I think you're introducing this year called Architecture. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's we're trying to extend our offering of these character looks. It's a new assortment of product that features very long and wide plank to capture on a lot of consumers' desire to have a very large format plank. It's an engineered product, and it basically uses a sawn face finish, so you get the look of a solid wood, but on a more versatile engineered platform. And these are very, very long planks.
You're talking 7.5 inches wide and up to 6 feet long. So.
Yeah. It has different looks within the series. Generally, though, they share a wire brush look. One SKU has a distressed painted look with saw cut marks, and it would tend to have what I would call a little more European influence versus our other products, which have a more distinctly American bent to them. This is a great addition to the wide array of engineered products we have today, and I think helps go after those customers who are really looking for a little more high fashion, more European influenced look.
Well, Roger, you met with a bunch of your better customers over this weekend, and in your role where you're putting assortments together and looks together, what was most satisfying as far as what caught their eye, and what 2 or 3 products really stood out as far as your retailers buying into those programs?
Definitely the architecture you mentioned was well received. Also, in Hardwood, the American Retreat series we did, which was our wire brush engineered that also uses Armor Max and Scotchgard, was extremely well received. That gives them the opportunity to sell a brush product with fewer of the maintenance concerns that they might have with the typical wire brush product, which by opening up the grain makes for an interesting look, but sometimes can make it a little bit harder to clean because of the nature of the surface of the product and the way dirt can kind of get down into the graining there more easily, and that's much less of an issue with the addition of Armor Max and Scotchgard.
One other thing I'd like to point out that caught my eye, I travel around the world and look at what's being introduced from a ceramic porcelain tile standpoint. And, we've seen a move to larger format there. You guys are able to roll out this year a plank in ceramic that's 36 inches long, and I thought that was pretty impressive.
That's correct. We did that in our new Trayvern series, and so we are offering both a 6x24 and a 9x36 plank. And we do have the ability to offer now these larger and larger sizes, and particularly when you're talking these wood plank looks, lets you have something that's closer to the real thing. But what we find particularly interesting about ceramic is the most successful products have really been ones that don't necessarily copy wood exactly, but they interpret wood. They take wood characteristics and then they add in some other effects to create something new. I think we'll see more of that in the future.
Well, another little nuance there in the porcelain category, as many people know, grout lines, if you have a grout line, it's not going to look like a wooden floor. But you guys are able, through this rectification process of launching a product that you can't even see the grout lines with, right?
Yeah, with a rectified edge, you really can get a minimal grout joint, and with the right color coordinating grout, you really can make that grout line disappears. So, you wind up with something that's much closer to a hardwood look. You're absolutely right.
Okay, Roger. Well, it's great to talk to you. I appreciate you giving us an update on what happened at Solutions. Again, we've been talking to Roger Farabee, who is Senior Vice President of Marketing for Mohawk Hard Surfaces, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.